Travis Lulay, the starting quarterback for the BC Lions in a big game, especially after the Edmonton Eskimos just won against the Ottawa Red Blacks. And the Calgary Stampeders, Bo Levi Mitchell, threw for under 200 yards and was picked off 3 times, although they did win that game last week in Montreal. And Calgary, with Saskatchewan's loss earlier today, can wrap up once again first place in the West Division. And getting set for a video tribute to Wally Buono. But looking ahead to this one, BC Lions, I mean, for all they've done, I mean, it's big with due respect to Jonathan Jennings to have a veteran like Travis Lulay back in there. Right. But now maybe the Lions are starting to feel a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, they know what's on. They know the score. They know how the Edmonton Eskimos won that game, and now they need to go out and make it happen against the best team in the CFL. But they have a confidence booster in the fact that they have Travis Lulay, and no disrespect to Jonathan Jennings, but he wasn't getting it done, and they know Travis Lulay can get it done. He may not be 100%, but they know he gives them the best chance of winning. That defense is playing better. They're going to allow Sutton to get some plays in. He's a tough runner, so they have an opportunity to win this game. But the one thing you can't do against the Calgary Stampeders is you can't make a lot of mistakes. Travis Lulay said, if I can be consistent, we have a chance of winning this game.
Well, you talk about making mistakes, is all going to be led by Micah Johnson up front, because we all understand on BC side, their backs are against the wall. But one guy who can help get that defense, that defensive line, that rush that we thought we were going to see unveiled on Johnny Manziel last week, back into action. It's Micah Johnson, who in my mind is definitely up there, one of the top 2 guys for Defensive Player of the Year. But they need to reignite that flame in Calgary, get things going, because, hey, we all see Calgary as a favorite, but it all starts with that defense.
Don't you think that when the BC Lions watch the film this week on the Calgary Stampeders and see how tight a game it was against the Alouettes, the lowly Alouettes, that they feel that they can beat this football team?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the Calgary Stampeders for much of this year, I say for the first half of the year, seemed virtually unbeatable. I think they seem
They never play well in Montreal.
No.
I never buy into that. That's just happenstance. Look, this is the Montreal Alouettes, who are... They're a basement dweller. Everybody knows. And they played the Calgary Stampeders as tough as you can play a football team. The BC Lions have to take confidence.
That shouldn't be your mindset. No, it shouldn't. That should not be your mind. Your mindset should be, if we go in there and do the things we're capable of doing, we have an opportunity to win it. You shouldn't say, okay, they barely beat the Montreal Alouettes, so we have a good opportunity. If that's your mindset, you don't have a chance of winning this game.
Well, you got to look at how they can out-physical them, too, because now they got Tyrell Sutton in the backfield, and it's a bad weather day in Calgary.
That's why they got Sutton. That's why they got Sutton right there.
But they've got to find ways to win.
Wally Buono was the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders for 12 seasons, won the Grey Cup with them in 1992, again in 98. You were on that team in 2001 as well, so he's fondly remembered at McMahon Stadium, of course. Many good years with the BC Lions, too. His final regular season game at McMahon, a video tribute to be played now before this game.
Please turn your attention to the Stampstrong. Join us in celebrating an all-time Stampeder and CFL great.
Pasquale Wally Buono began his CFL coaching career as an assistant in Montreal in 1983. 4 years later, Wally would move to Calgary to join the Stampeders as an assistant coach. And in 1990, President Normie Kwong would hire Wally as the 24th head coach in Calgary Stampeder history. As a head coach, Wally's football success would continue as he was named as the CFL Coach of the Year in 1992 and 1993 and helped guide the Stampeders to 6 Grey Cup games, bringing home the championship 3 times. Wally would go on to serve 13 seasons as head coach for the Red and White from 1990 to 2002, and in that time accumulated an amazing record of 153, 79, and 2, making him both the longest-serving and winningest head coach in club history. In 2014, Wally Buono was inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, and the following year, he was appointed to the Order of Canada. With a total of 280 career wins, Wally Buono is the winningest coach in the history of the Canadian Football League.
Fans coaching in his final regular season game here at McMahon Stadium. Please get on your feet. Let's make some noise, some appreciation for Wally Buono. As part of our Pink Power initiative today, joining Justine Tyrell and our Calgary Stampeder Outriders.
Cold, chilly Saturday night in October in Calgary. BC Lions and the Stampeders in a Western showdown here tonight. The Stamps can lock down first place with a win or a tie. The BC Lions still fighting it out. Their fate to be determined.
Yes, and that fate lies in the hands of Travis Lulay, returning at quarterback, making his first start since September 14th. Jonathan Jennings led the team to a win last week, creating some depth at the quarterback position, but they'll rely on Lulay down the stretch. Bo Levi Mitchell, something we've rarely had to say about him, is he looks to rebound this week after throwing 3 interceptions against Montreal Alouettes.
Still got to win, though. That's what he does, and so does this guy. Canadian Football Hall of Famer as a player. He might get there as a coach, too, someday. Fastest ever to 40 wins, Dave Dickinson and his Stampeders have won 3 straight, and the all-time winningest coach in CFL history, Wally Buono, as we showed you the tribute. Wally had a smile on his face, and I'm sure underneath there is some emotion tonight. It's Wally Buono's final regular season game here at McMahon Stadium, where so many great things happened. You know, you were part of it.
Yeah, Wally obviously has had a great run in both cities, but won more games in Calgary actually than he has as the head coach of the BC Lions. 3 Grey Cup victories as well. That's where it all began for him as a CFL head coach in 1990.
There is a fierce wind going left to right on your screen from the north. Ty Long's going to kick us off tonight. Week 18 will end after some excitement today and over the weekend, and Ramar Morris behind cover, and he will bring the ball up to the 30-yard line on that return, and Bo Levi Mitchell and his Calgary Stampeders in a receiving core that has been decimated by injury, yet they keep on ticking.
Yeah, somehow, and this is the testament. Henry Burris and I had a long chat, and the debate about quarterback play this season and how good a year Bo Levi Mitchell has had, how you have to factor in how many different receivers he's had to work with this season and try to find chemistry, it seems, with new guys every week.
And he's got a new one tonight as well. Former Rookie of the Year in the CFL. He's the near side of your screen. Chris Matthews, former Seattle Seahawk. He's in the lineup, just picked up. Don Jackson establishes the ground game, 8 yards out of the chute here for the Stamps offense.
Well, you mentioned Chris Matthews, the 2012 CFL Rookie of the Year. He draws in with Mark and Michelle, the latest to get injured in that receiving core. Of course, with the defensive ends, the BC Lions will roll out there. The play of Derek Dennis and Randy Richards at offensive tackle will be key for Calgary's offensive line tonight.
Second down and 2. High formation. Hands it off, and once again it's Jackson getting to the 40-yard line. He'll move the sticks right away. Bola Combo in on the tackle.
We'll take a look at the BC Lions starting defense. We mentioned those defensive ends. Sean Lemon and Odell Willis, terrific bookends. Davon Coleman has been outstanding the inside of that defensive line as well. Micah Awe, one of the most physical players in the game, manning the middle linebacker spot as Solomon Elamimian continues to be out of the lineup. Anthony Orange has put together a solid season playing on the corner for the Lions.
Double tight end set. Blitz comes. They pick it up. Mitchell goes over the middle, looking for Juwan Breskison, but that came up well short under duress. And Bo was under duress last week in Montreal, was he not?
Well, he certainly was. A terrific defensive performance from the Montreal Alouettes. Kept that game very close. Stampeders limited to 1 touchdown in that ball game, as we mentioned off the top. Mitchell picked off 3 times. You know, and you wonder how much of that is a factor of adjusting to different faces in that receiving core all the time.
Bo told us yesterday, though, no excuses. It was on him. Challenges on everybody, he said. One man goes down, another steps up. That's the plug-and-play attitude that really stems back to the days when Wally Buono was here. And, of course, passed on to John Huffnagel. And here in Calgary,
Procedure.
they have
Calgary, number 60. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Established quite a brand of winning football.
Yeah, they certainly have. Dave Dickinson, of course, a guy you can put in that Wally Buono coaching tree, although he's never coached on Wally's staff. A guy who played for Wally Buono in both BC and Calgary.
Dave Foxcroft is our referee tonight. First penalty of the game. Second down at 15. Mitchell going deep here, looking for Matthews and trying to one-hand it in, and he cannot. So Chris Matthews targeted early in this first series, and now the Stampeders will bring out Rob Naver and the kick team.
Well, here you see the matchup. Matthews gets a pretty good release. Unable to pull in the one-handed grab. Good coverage on the play.
Former Winnipeg Blue Bomber went down to the NFL and, of course, played with the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl in a losing cause. Hasn't had too many reps recently. No Chris Rainey tonight for the BC Lions. 42-yard kick. Travis Lulay back at the helm for the BC Lions. One of their winningest quarterbacks of all time. Needing a win here tonight. Playoff hopes on the line for the BC Lions. CA. Sun setting here in Calgary. Sun setting on the regular season as well. Only a few weeks left. Tough times for the BC Lions. They are in the thick of it, but they've played much better football lately. Winners of 4 of their last 5, including last week against the Toronto Argonauts. And Terrell Sutton gets his first touch as a BC Lion, acquired in a trade from Montreal, and he picks up 10.
We'll take a look at this BC Lions offense. As mentioned, Sutton making his BC Lions debut, a guy brought in for some Western Conference football down the stretch. Got to be able to run that ball between the tackles. Keep an eye on the youngster starting at center tonight, Andrew Pearson. Second game in the lineup. Kingston, Ontario native. Undrafted rookie.
35-year-old Travis Lulay, the Montana State longtime BC Lion, former MOP in the league, turns and hands it off again to Sutton, dashing forward. Terrell Sutton once again, and we chatted with GM Ed Hervey before this game, and he loves having Terrell Sutton. Was surprised that he was able to get him out of Montreal because Sutton can go north-south in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, there is a desire for the BC Lions to play a physical brand of football down the stretch if they're going to be successful getting into the playoffs and then in the playoffs and be able to run that ball between the tackles. And there are few that do it better than Terrell Sutton.
They also have Jeremiah Johnson, don't forget. So an opportunity to go with those 2 import backs at times in the game. Lulay has time, swinging it out, penalty flag down. Shaq Johnson has a first down. We'll have to see what the call is here. 16-yard gain for the Lions. Lulay moving the ball quickly here.
Illegal contact, Calgary. That penalty's declined. First down, BC.
But I'm not sure that the illegal contact wasn't initiated by the receiver, Brian Burnham. Watch him on his release. He's going to take on the linebacker.
Calgary team least penalized in the CFL has already picked up a couple of flags in this one, and there's Sutton once more, and he's a busy guy. His first game as a Lion, wearing an unfamiliar 13 for those of you who've watched. Terrell Sutton has worn 20 in Montreal, but it wasn't available because Bola Combo has that.
I'll take a look at this Calgary Stampeder defense. Obviously an outstanding front, bolstered even more by the return last week of Cordero Law. Linebacking core led by the man in the middle, Alex Singleton, on his way to another 100-tackle season. Deshaun Amos makes his way into the lineup with some injuries. Stampeder secondary got banged up a little bit. Brandon Smith out of the lineup this week at halfback. Amos draws in.
We'll see if they go after Amos in his first game. On the roll is Lulay. Jump ball too high for Brian Burnham. And that will bring out Ty Long and the kick team. The Lions will get a chance with the wind here. They won the toss, deferred to the second half And we'll see how that wind plays out here tonight. It's going to get colder. It's about 0 degrees right now. Feels like -6. Feels like a lot worse than that down below. We were down there earlier. And hey, guess what? It's football season.
Well, playoff weather, but a day like today speaks to the BC Lions' desire to bolster their rushing attack with that addition of Terrell Sutton.
They have been a grit and grind team all year. Not a lot of big plays. And it's grit and grind time as Ty Long pours one through, and the BC Lions with the wind strike first here tonight. Lions try to match the Edmonton Eskimos in the West after the Eskimos win today. Bombers won as well. West gets crazier. Bo back to work in a moment. Bo Levi Mitchell, chance to secure another first place in the West. Dude just wins.
Yeah, you look at the the many marks he has established. You know, we keep saying best start in CFL history. I mean, through 82 starts, we're not really talking about the start of a career anymore. This is the story of his career.
Most outstanding player a couple of seasons ago. Bo has won a Grey Cup with the Stampeders. You look at the Stamps, who have nearly been indomitable in the regular season the last couple of seasons. It's not about right now. It's not about the regular season, I'm sure, for John Huffnagel and company. It's about the Grey Cup game.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the challenge, I think, sometimes when you're John Huffnagel, Dave Dickinson, the Calgary Stampeders, is remaining focused on the regular season and not thinking ahead to getting another chance in the Grey Cup game.
Well, they've had their chances. Couple of opportunities the last 2 Novembers. Many felt they had victory in their grasp, snatched away by Ottawa, and then of course by Toronto. Campbell's the intended target. Another slow start. This is 3 games in a row now for the Stampeders, who have struggled offensively out of the gate. 2 of 3 games, zeros offensively. Anthony Parker, the former Calgary Stampeder, and Dino on the return. Travis back at work midway through the first quarter. The resilient Travis Lulay returns.
Yeah, Lulay injured mid-September as he was taken down hard by John Bowman against the Montreal Alouettes. So many serious injuries have derailed his great career, but Travis Lulay just keeps coming back.
A little anger and frustration. He is like a boomerang, though. Throw him around, he keeps coming back. BC Lions are happy he is back. Leading 3-0. Blitz coming, picked up, and it's batted down and almost back to Lulay. Well, one thing about Travis Lulay through the years, the shoulders, the knees, the injuries, still plays fearless.
There's an element of risk that's inherent in our sport, and you have to be okay with that to play free and play at your highest level. And that's part of what's one of the boxes you got to check. And obviously the final check always comes on game day and taking a hit and doing it. You just have to play knowing that there's risk involved.
Guy who got the job a few years ago, the only way it was ever relinquished is because of injury. A winner, Lulay, chucking deep here, behind coverage, and what a catch, what a throw. Brian Burnham, how did he come up with that in double coverage on an absolute dart from Travis Lulay?
Well, I'm waiting for the replay to see how Brian Burnham came up with it, because it looked like he kind of reached around the defender, took it off the defender's Tunde Adelike's shoulder.
One-handed catch by Burnham who's known for those spectacular grabs. What a catch. 54-yarder. Terrell Sutton crashing and bashing once more. Brian Burnham burns the Stamps with a spectacular reach back one-hander.
Well, Burnham has certainly made a reputation as one of those guys in the Canadian Football League who just has a knack for making the tough catch.
You have to see that on replay, because live, you kind of see it. When you see it on replay, you realize, guess what? That's 1v1 stuff right there.
You can't ask for much more in coverage.
1v1 in 1v2 territory. Double coverage. 2nd and 4. Lule, good protection. Firing. Jameer Thurman watching Jeremiah Johnson drawing in that time. So another drive after an amazing catch by Burnham and a huge play. The best that the Lions will do will be a field goal attempt by Ty Long.
There you see the man who got them into this field goal position, Brian Burnham. He's really stepped up his game in the absence of his usual running mate in the slot, Manny Arsenal.
That guy could have his own top 10 pretty soon. Sure, it's longer than 10. Long puts that through, a 27-yarder. Brian Burnham starts off the highlight reel tonight. What a catch. It's a 6-0 BC lead on Saturday night in Calgary. It has been an incredible journey north of the border for the veteran Travis Lule. With more on his story, let's go to the sideline and join Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, Rod. You know, it was just 4 weeks ago where Lule suffered a shoulder injury, and now he's already under center at the most crucial time for the BC Lions. Now, Lule did tell me that pain will be a reality for him, but it certainly will not be a distraction. He has suffered injury enough in his career where he knows how to prepare mentally even when he's not 100% for games. Lule also said that if he's thinking about anything besides putting the ball in the right places and reading defenses, he's not ready to play. That will not be the case tonight, especially since he's had 2 weeks of practice leading into this game.
Well, it doesn't surprise most of us who have watched Travis Lule. $6 million man. He just keeps rebuilding the guy. Heart and soul and success. The story of Travis Lule. He gets the ultimate respect from this guy.
He could have quit at any point, you know, once Jonathan had that 5,000-yard season and everybody was speaking about him like he's the Messiah, that, you know, he could have said, you know, I'm done with it. And, you know, I had a good run. I'll go hang out with my family now and become a, you know, a worker or whatnot. But, you know, he stuck to it, man. He shows the passion he has, the love for this game and his team. And I think he's never let that not be known.
Bo looking for his first completion, batted down. Whistle down, incomplete. Bo Levi Mitchell told us yesterday that he has a lot of respect too. There are times when he chatted with Travis Lule when he was on crutches before games, and if the cameras spotted Travis with crutches, Travis would cast the crutches aside.
Yeah, never wanting to show any sort of weakness. You know, it's funny to hear Travis Lule talk about learning to prepare with pain. I think Travis Lule at this point in his career wouldn't know how to prepare without pain. The injuries have become such a reality for him, and fighting back from those.
Again, Anthony Parker on the return tonight. Gets the edge. Oh, what a block there. And Parker bursting down the sideline. He's still on his feet. Anthony Parker trying to score. Down near the 3-yard line as Patrick Levels comes back to get Parker, who is back home again. The former Calgary Stampeder and Dino, who had a lot of spectacular plays like that here at McMahon. 79 yards from AP.
Yeah, Anthony Parker certainly happy to get this opportunity here in Calgary tonight, making the most of it. The team that, with the emergence of guys like Lamar Durant, Juwan Brescacin, released Parker at the end of training camp. He caught on with BC as they had some injury issues. Has gifted Travis Lulay in the offense. Great field position here.
They move it back to the 4-yard line. Ideal starting position. Again, keep in mind, Chris Rainey not in the lineup. Their premier returner. And there's Jeff Reinbold, who runs the special teams for the Lions. That has to feel good for Anthony Parker.
Oh, no question. Parker, the 3rd overall pick in the draft back in 2011. And this was kind of what was expected for those who saw Anthony Parker play regularly during his university days with the Calgary Dinos. I mean, this is as explosive and dynamic a player to play Canadian university football as I've ever seen.
And a cast aside, looking for work, found work in BC, and almost had the touchdown here. Lions threatening. Lulay has to chuck it away. Looking for Devere Posey. So now setting up a key 2nd down. The Lions have had good drives already, and they don't want another one to stall here at the 4.
Well, Stampeders in this situation are going to load it up, force Lulay to get the ball out in a hurry. The free safety. Delicate part of the pressure package.
Key 2nd down.
It's too early for all that running, man.
I'll hand it off and up the middle. Terrell Sutton has his first touchdown as a BC Lion in his first game. Think this guy's excited to be wearing orange?
This is what he came for. Sutton himself suggesting he wants to play some West Division playoff football.
Wants to play some playoff football. Hasn't been in the playoffs the last couple of years. The CFL rushing leader and an all-star in Montreal a couple of years ago. He's got a souvenir here tonight. Talking with us yesterday. He was so excited to get some touches. He got the touch. He got the touchdown. Ty Long, point after. All of these points coming with the win. And right now, the Lions are roaring here in Calgary tonight. Terrell Sutton over the moon to get a fresh start.
That was his line, right?
I haven't been in this fight for a few years now, and so I feel rejuvenated. I feel like I can come over here and bring something to the team that they don't have, and only enhance what we got. I just want to hit people. I just want to go out there and play ball. It's getting cold, so you got to come see me. At the end of the day, summertime ball, flashy ball is over, so let's go ahead.
When asked by Jermaine Franklin yesterday, what does that mean? What kind of ball is that? He says, I'm a baller. Guess what? That's what he is, Terrell Sutton.
Yeah, he talks the talk and walks the walk. Sutton backing it up early here in his Lions debut.
Again, used to wear number 20. Now number 13. He liked number 13. Would have worn that in Montreal, except, oh yeah, nobody can wear that number. Sutton has sudden impact for the BC Lions in this first quarter. Under 3 to go. Lamar Morris brought down at the 28-yard line, and the BC Lions fired up here out of the gate tonight, Dwayne.
Yeah, the Lions got exactly what they needed, which was a quick start in this football game. Containing the Stampeders offensively as they try to find their way. Getting some big plays, helped out by special teams. Early on, that big return from Anthony Parker.
Oh boy.
Big difference in yardage so far here tonight. 104 for the BC Lions. 19 yards of offense. 0 completions for the Calgary Stampeders. Remember, last week they threw up the Canadian goose egg in Montreal as well in the first quarter.
Well, it's been interesting to watch over the last couple of weeks in the Canadian Football League. For the most part, how defenses have really tightened up, and how, games more than ever, we talk about usually kind of 3 to 5 big plays deciding a game. I think we're to a point where 1 or 2 big plays can decide a game.
There's completion number 1 to New Papa. Eric Rogers, who hasn't been at practice the last couple of days. He was down in California, became a daddy again. Young daughter named Kyla. Made it back to Calgary today, is in the game tonight, and I'm sure he's going to be amped up to play. Might try to get a souvenir for his new daughter later in this ball game. The Stamps are a big play, explosive team. More big plays than any other team in the league. They've had none here tonight.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we keep making the same point about the injuries that they've suffered. Mark and Michelle, the latest receiver to go out of that lineup. So things may not run quite as smoothly as early in the ballgame.
Oh, nice catch. First catch by Chris Matthews. A former Bomber and Seahawk, first game with the Stampeders. And how about this?
Well, the Calgary Stampeders sort of went outside of their model to get a guy like Chris Matthews. This is typically...
They had to.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a team that typically has developed and promoted from within. But you get to a point at this stage in the season with the number of injuries that they have had at the receiver position where you run out of guys who have been here and know the system. But to be able to get a guy the caliber of Chris Matthews, who knows the CFL game, and you can plug in within a week of signing him, is a big get for the Stamps.
Second down, short yardage. They'll move the sticks. Have a guy through the years who's been the right place at the right time. Leaving the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, trying to get a job down south, was a security guard for a while, gets a phone call from the Seattle Seahawks. Ended up in the Super Bowl game. Maybe one of his finest moments as a pro. A losing cause. Mitchell over the top, and it's gone. Oh, and a big lick, but hanging on. What a catch by William Longley. Just his 4th reception of the season for the Sherbrooke product, and so the national receivers coming up with a big play. Stamps' first big play of the game on the final play of the first quarter. Lions scoring all their points with the wind. When we come back, the Stamps have the wind, and they're on the move on TSN. Team scrapping for its playoff life over the next few weeks. The BC Lions come out roaring here tonight, 13-0 over the Stampeders. Look at the difference in numbers. We'll see if the wind has anything to do with it, because it is a strong wind blowing. Stamps have the wind blowing right now, and Bo Levi Mitchell finally getting the big play that he was so coveting late in that first quarter.
Well, I mean, you just needed to look to your fullback. William Longley, terrific catch, took a big hit, but hung on to the football. He doesn't get those looks very often. Mitchell with a perfect throw. Great concentration on the play.
Collision of 23s here. Being able to hang on to the ball. Took a shot to the helmet as well from Nate Hamlin. The Stamps change ends. Scrimmage from the 31-yard line. Their furthest drive downfield so far here tonight. And again with the breeze. Mitchell, play action, goes over the top, and it was almost picked off by Gary Peters. Oh, Levi Mitchell lucky that that was not intercepted.
Yeah, it looked like Mitchell's signals may have gotten crossed a little bit in terms of where this ball was going with his receiver. Markeith Ambles just led him a little bit. Peters, as you said, nearly came up with great diving effort.
So many different receivers, 7 receivers on the injured list this season. All-star caliber receivers as well. Just to make it interesting for Bo Levi Mitchell. Again, incomplete. That time looking for Eric Rogers. So Rene Paredes will come out.
Well, neither team is having much success throwing the football in the early going. Not a shock. Again, given the temperature here. But it may come down to that running game, and as we've seen in the early going, a big play on special teams, maybe a big play on defense somewhere along the way that ultimately determines the outcome.
Manny Paredes has the gloves on. Kicker tonight. Puts the Stampeders on the board, down 10 now. So week 18 concludes with this third game of our triple dip today, and then next week Shaw Road to the Grey Cup. Friday night doubleheader. How about this one? Red Blacks, Ticats now tied in the East. Back-to-back weeks for first place, and then after that, the Eskimos and these Lions, and the Eskimos getting a win earlier as well today as they knocked off those Red Blacks. Coverage begins 7 Eastern, 4 Atlantic. Keeps on rolling all night across the TSN network. Stamp's not rolling right now, but it is early, as we've seen the last few weeks. Their slow starts, which a little different for this team. They've still been able to pick up wins in those games. Lule. Here's the blitz, and he got hit just as he threw that football off the edge. Cordero Law with the impact. Lule now 2 for 7 in the ball game.
You're going to see Law come around the edge to close down that pocket. Deliver a pretty hard shot on Travis Lule. Javon Olafioye, the tackle, tried to jump him. Just got beaten out in space.
He's second down here, early in the second quarter. Lions second last in the league on second down conversions. Going deep, and a big overthrow against the wind by Lule, and a quick 2 and out.
Watching the way Travis Lule threw this ball, looking for Brian Burnham. Really looked like he's trying to get a feel for this wind as he really heaved the ball. Looked like he put absolutely everything he had into it, as opposed to really trying to sort of aim it or put touch on that pass.
CFL's leading punter is Ty Long. Former Alabama Birmingham kicker. Does both duties for the Lions and does it well. Bouncing in front of Morris. It's a no yards call. Or did he? 39-yard kick. Bo Levi Mitchell back in his office at McMahon when we come back.
CONCACAF Nations League qualifying on TSN.
Well, right there are a couple of guys the Calgary Stampeders would love to have in uniform today, but they are among the many Stampeder receivers on the injured list. Kamar Jordan and Davaris Daniels, their top 2 receivers this season. Joined by Reggie Begelton and most recently Markin Michel. Over 2,600 yards and 19 touchdowns in injured receivers. And this is just Eric Rogers' second game back after a long stint on the injured list.
Bo Levi Mitchell, who's thrown 19 of 29 touchdowns and missing in that lineup. There goes Don Jackson. Oh, he's wrapped up. Had to be there. Winston Rose got to him. So Bo Levi Mitchell, it's not who is not here right now, it's who's here.
It's not easy to replace, top receivers in the league that, are, top playmakers out there that can score touchdowns at any point. But still have faith in every single guy that we have out there. And I think that's the most important thing for the guys to know. And I know my receivers know right now that I have faith in every one of them. Whoever's out there, I'm giving them the ball.
Well, including that guy, Chris Matthews, in his first game. And Don Jackson. The Lions are not fooled. Ivan McLennan tackle for a loss of 3 yards. BC Lions defense stacking so far here tonight.
Doing a pretty good job after Jackson has bounced a couple of these runs that start off between the tackles. He's bounced them to the outside a couple of times. This time Ivan McLennan Men just to keep contained out there waiting for him. Step up and make a play.
Second leading punter in the league on net punting is Rob Maver. Trying to angle one. This is going to bounce in. Stamps will get a point here on the Rouge. Make it 13-4. Stamps offense struggling right now. Second straight week over a first half.
It's amazing what food can do. Delight you. Excite you. Catch your eye. Love at first try. Take your breath away. Celebrate every day. Make everything fun. Get you likes, like a ton. Dare you. Bring the heat. That's the power of what you eat. That's what food can do.
Combine innovative technology with advanced safety features, and you get a lineup that everybody notices. It's the Toyota Clear Out event. Get a remaining 2018 vehicle today. But hurry, these offers are only on for a limited time.
That patty is 100% plant-based protein.
No way.
Like no meat?
That's plant?
What plant? Tastes exactly like meat.
That's a Beyond Meat burger from A&W.
That's insane.
Try the new plant-based Beyond Meat burger at A&W.
What's the simplest way to get to the Grey Cup? Support your team by painting your face. Take a picture of yourself and enter the Game Ready contest for a chance to win an all-inclusive trip for two to the Grey Cup. Bel Air Direct, making supporting your team simple.
Voting for Kraft Heinz Project Play is now open. Go to kraftheinzprojectplay.com to vote for the community you feel deserves to win a $250,000 facility upgrade. And we have one of those communities, at least people from the community here tonight.
They are represented, the community of Pembroke Meadows, just outside of Calgary. They want to create an all-access playground at St. Peter Elementary School. 40 of the kids are here today.
Great promotion through the years. Can't think of anything better than to help a community so the kids can play. 5 receivers set. Lule turns, hands off to Sutton. Terrell Sutton again. 5 yards makes that second down a whole lot easier.
Terrell Sutton has always been a physical runner, but he seems to be bringing a little extra violence with him. Certainly motivated to put on a show for his new teammates. Dropping the shoulder there on a pretty good linebacker, Jameer Thurman.
Well, as he said, he's rejuvenated, he says, and be in the playoffs for the first time. So that's no given right now for the Lions in the West. Once again, it's Travis Lule with a completion, and Corey Watson as his first. Jeremiah Johnson, who has been their feature back, and coming off his best game last week. It's a bit of a big move for Wally Buono and the BC Lions this week to put Sutton in.
Jeremiah Johnson. Lions as a whole, actually, after the Sutton trade was made, posted a season high 187 as a team. Season high 118 personally for Jeremiah Johnson,
who had 12 touchdowns last year. Jeremiah Johnson. That's a lot of dancing. There's Jarius Jackson on the sideline. Tough week for him. His laptop stolen out of his vehicle. His life's works in there. Had a bunch of other stuff and put in a reward out as well. Needless to say, challenging week for the former Lions quarterback. Runs their offense. Here comes the blitz. Lule heaving into the sideline.
Well, that was a throwaway to protect the field position. He knew he was in trouble from the get-go.
Ricky Collins was the intended target, so again, busy punters here tonight. Having to deal with the cold and the wind. Get used to it, fellas.
Yeah, it's not going to get a whole lot better between now and the end of November.
Oh, there's a gadget going on here, and it's not going to work. Direct snap and a throw out. That did not work for the BC Lions. Jeff Reinbold had something going. Cody Fajardo and the Lions get stopped, and they turn it over on downs when we come back.
Well, special teams coordinator Jeff Reinbold, many tricks stashed up that sleeve over years in the role. Lions throughout the year on their punt team, as several teams do, use their third-string quarterback, Cody Fajardo, to cover punts. It creates some options to do things like this on the fake field position where they felt they could take a gamble. When you consider that they're punting against the wind, the ball's around midfield. But the Calgary Stampeders were thinking the same thing. If we're going to get some funny business from Jeff Reinbold, this is the area of the field where it's going to occur. Stampeders get the stop.
First turnover on downs. Bo hanging in. And he's able to escape. And was lucky to avoid the sack. Lions were in on him.
Davon Coleman coming off a 2-interception game last week.
Coleman with 2 picks in one game. Doesn't happen very often from those interior linemen. Lions blitz again, swinging it out to Jackson. Cutting back and will not get the first down. So despite that trickery that didn't work for the BC Lions, it's going to be 3rd down and almost 2.5 yards.
Yeah, Stampeders
are staying out.
Yep. Good execution from the Stampeders in that 2nd and long situation. The Lions basically are sitting their DBs back around that first down marker in position to come up and make a play. They got it, but the Stamps are close enough to go here.
Bo stays in, trying to get the Lions to jump 2. 3rd and 3, handing it off, and he's not going anywhere. So back-to-back series and turnovers on downs. Odell Lewis stonewalls the Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah, Lewis just inside that left goal post. See him throw his man Brad Erdos aside.
And pushes back. It actually was Lewis with the first contact. Contact that results in the stop.
Just holds on and waits for the cavalry to come.
So no harm, no foul for the Lions after the gamble on 3rd and the trick play.
All day.
Get it back almost in the same field position. So there's 6 to go before halftime. 9-point lead for BC. They get an 8th win. Stay in the thick of it in the hunt for a playoff spot in the West. Devere Posey. For Argo, the MOP in last year's Grey Cup game.
A guy who may haunt some members of the Stampeders based on the last time they saw him. Recent addition to this Lions lineup after taking a shot in the National Football League this year.
The Baltimore Ravens for the preseason. Put up back with the BC Lions. Lule fires, and it is caught down near the 30-yard line. And it's Shaq Johnson signaling first down. A big play. Lule, another 32-yard completion to Shaq Johnson.
Shaq Johnson right down the hash mark. A good adjustment to the ball. You saw the defender in coverage. Had his back turned and didn't seem to see when Johnson broke off that route as the ball was in the air.
Shaq Johnson's really coming to his own. Terrell Sutton tackled after another 4 or 5 yard gain, but Shaq Johnson, Southern Ontario kid who a couple of stops in university and junior and then ends up with the BC Lions, has become one of their go-to guys.
Yeah, bounced around a little bit collegiately, but a former Canadian University Rookie of the Year, starting his career at McGill. Eventually transferred to Western, also spent some time playing junior football with the London Beefeaters before being drafted by the Lions.
Fourth round in 2014, Lule hanging in, going deep end zone. And Devere Posey wants a flag as he went leaping into the air. And Lule can't connect. So again, the field goal unit stepping on the field. Is Wally Buono going to challenge this? May have a point. Trey Robertson.
Yeah, some hand fighting, but watch, it looks like Robertson, not sure whether that's Robertson extending.
Wally is going to challenge.
Well, Travis Lule, you see, he was calling for the challenge right away.
Wally's in a 50-50 on challenge flags this season. 4 of 8.
BC is challenging that there was defensive pass interference on their receiver number 85. We'll review the play.
That's the only mitigating factor, maybe the hand fighting that went on before that. But it's at command now, and they're looking at this at a variety of angles.
And there's the matchup, Robertson versus Posey on the outside. Good coverage with the ball in the air. You see they get tied up in the last couple of steps. There's that contact between the two, the hand fighting that we talked about. You know, and it's tough to say at the end here whether there's a push from Robertson or if it just looks that way when Posey jumps.
Initially from here, first glance, you kind of think, okay, where's the flag? Looked like immediate interference. Wally Buono now forced to use that challenge flag.
There you see, I think you can make a case for the defender impeding the receiver's ability to get back to that football.
So here is the decision from command.
After review, we have defensive pass interference, Calgary number 31. Ball will be placed at the 1 yard line. First down, BC.
That's the worst thing for the Stampeders, in goal in the end zone, that foul occurring, and so it immediately goes to the 1 yard line.
And it's interesting to see the way that things have played out. You go back to the two teams exchanging turnovers. Look at the lineup of the BC Lions.
Look at this lineup for the Lions. Cody Fajardo. It's like a chorus line here.
This is the most inefficient huddle ever.
This is the I formation. And Fajardo behind center. Hands it off to Sutton, and he has his second touchdown of the night. Well, Terrell Sutton follows the O-line after they huddled up in a big line. And the BC Lions taking it to the Calgary Stampeders here in this first half tonight.
And obviously the idea is to create some confusion, not let the Calgary Stampeders have any idea until the last second know how they're going to line up.
I like that kind of stuff. every once in a while.
Well, you've got to be creative, right? I mean, in a 9-team league, obviously there becomes familiarity very quickly. So you try to do some unique things, and Jarius Jackson comes up with one there.
Do you hold your cards till later in the season, till now as well?
Well,
or?
you know what? For a team like BC, there's a little bit of now or never for them. They're in the middle of a fight, so I don't think you hold cards for later because there may not be a later. They've got to find ways to get it done now, and frankly, so far tonight, they've done a terrific job.
And there is a team that has some creativity, but also a team that has to put its nose to the turf right now. They've been able to grind out wins, as Ed Hervey told us earlier tonight, the GM of the Lions. You know, they've had to win some ugly games, and this is the time of year where ugly is pretty. You just take the W. Ty Long. So put up 20. 16-point lead for the BC Lions, and 2 touchdowns already from Terrell Sutton, paying dividends on that trade from Montreal.
On a drive that began with the Stampeders taking a 3rd down gamble around midfield. Defense led by Claudel Lewis came up big. Strike down the middle of the field to Shaq Johnson. Then a pass interference call in the end zone on a pass intended for DeVere Posey. Terrell Sutton, who has very much bought into the notion of being the hammer rather than the nail.
Michelle, shout out, baby. You already know, best mortgage broker in the country. Go hit her up. I'm telling y'all. And shout out to my man Ben. Hope you get better, Rose. You already know what time it is, man. We putting on for you, baby. Let's go, baby.
Shaq Johnson would be a good pitchman for commercials. It's just kind of
loosen up a little bit.
Loosen up just a little more. Terrell Sutton, who only had 1 touchdown with the Alouettes this year, and was made expendable in Montreal because of William Stanback. His rise as Morris heaves himself over the 30-yard line. It's a very quick response by the BC Lions after that 3rd down turnover on the gamble from the Stamps.
Yeah, well, and this is why you talk so much about field position in the Canadian Football League. Quick response because they got the ball with a short field to work with. 5 plays, 65 yards. And they add to their lead. And, you know, I was going to say before, it's interesting to see the Stampeders, a team that within field goal range, or in the eyes of many in field goal range, is often punted because they're a team that plays for field position, that around midfield they elected to gamble there as opposed to punting for that field position.
Well, Levi Mitchell trying to get his team in scoring position again, and so far this week looking a lot like last week for the Stamps offensively. Lions defense stepping up. It's the 3-minute warning before halftime, and Lions up 16.
Rod Smith and the guys back in the studio getting set for halftime. 2nd straight game the Stampeders offense has struggled. We'll talk about BC's defense and the addition on offense of Tyrell Sutton, and big wins for the Eskimos and Bombers earlier today. It's at the half. Back to Rod and Dwayne in Calgary.
Thank you, Rod. Right, you are have to be considered a trend that the Stampeders don't like right now, their first halves. Keep in mind, the last few weeks they've had those issues, but they've been able to squeak out victories. And we're just not used to seeing a Calgary Stampeder team with so many 2-and-outs.
Yeah, a team that usually runs at a high level of efficiency. Just struggling to find some traction, to find its groove. This year, 5 2-and-outs thus far in the first half.
Izzy Rob Maver in this first half. They put 2 returners back, the BC Lions. Already a great return by Anthony Parker. This one is muffed by Ricky Collins, and Calgary looks like they have it. Ricky Collins, the 2nd returner back, botches it and gives it right back to the Stampeders. Huge play here in the final 3 minutes of the first half. One of the Stamps' best special teams players, Wynton McManus.
Yeah, McManus has been terrific. I've been watching him on punt cover. At times the Lions have been trying to double team him to try and manage him here. They don't get him locked up. He's the first man in. They're in time to scoop up the fumbled football and give his offense a very short field with which to work. A much needed short field.
Stamps the best turnover ratio in the CFL, and they make teams pay when they turn it over. Bo, pocket closes, throws end zone, touchdown! Chris Matthews, welcome back to the Canadian Football League. First game, first touchdown back north of the border.
Well, the late season acquisitions paying big dividends for their respective teams thus far. 2 touchdowns for Terrell Sutton. Chris Matthews answers the challenge here with his first as a Stampeder. Very costly fumble. You know, BC has played such a good first half, and to make such a critical mistake in that part of the field with under 3 minutes to go in the half really hurts, as you give Calgary a little bit of momentum before the break.
Travis Lulay talked about that yesterday, about getting that lead and hanging on when you're playing against the powerhouse, the power horses in Calgary. Stamps go for 2 a lot, and they'll get the 2 here. Markeith Ambles, now 7 for 11 on the season on 2-point converts. 1 possession ball game. Absolutely dominant BC Lions display in the first half. And it becomes somewhat undone right here.
Well, you remember we showed you the BC Lions last scoring drive? Started with a turnover. Calgary Stampeders scoring drive starts with a turnover in both instances. Great field position to start a drive. Ends with a touchdown.
124 points now off of turnovers this season, and Chris Matthews, CFL Rookie of the Year, down to the NFL with the Hawks, and then back north with the Calgary Stampeders and Markeith Ambles into the end zone for the 2-pointer. Different complexion completely at halftime.
Yeah, changing the game, as we talked about. Big plays could come from the defense, could come on special teams. That's what has set the face of this game.
Jeremiah Johnson on the return to the 34-yard line. So we've already had 3 turnovers in this ball game, but Calgary Stampeders, when they win the turnover battle, guess what?
Yeah. The table gets very slanted in their favor. 12-0 so far this year when they win that battle.
Since 2014,
double-digit wins every year.
Here's another one I was telling you about before the game. The Stamps won't have the lead unless something happens at halftime here, and Lions give it up again. But the Stamps, when they lead ball games after the first, second, and third quarters, they've won every time this season. That's crazy. 7-0 leading after 1, 9-0 after 2, 10-0 after 3, 7-0 on home field this season.
Yeah, and this is where we talked about the need for the BC Lions to have a very good start. Is that the Stampeders are tremendous front runners. They get out in front. They rarely relinquish it.
Wally Buono's team, 6-1 at home, but on the road they are not Warriors. Just 1-6. Trying to reverse that trend. Under 2 to go before halftime. Lions don't want to give the Stamps the ball again. A pump and go into traffic, and they have given it back. And it's Trey Roberson with the interception. And this game has completely turned. Roberson down near the 30-yard line. And I think the BC Lions right now are shell-shocked.
You know, It is said all the time about the Calgary Stampeders, your margin for error against these guys is so small. And again, you put together a very good, keep an eye on the outside here, but you put together a very good first 27.5 minutes against the Calgary Stampeders. And yet suddenly you find yourself possibly tied at the half, depending what the Stampeders are able to do here in the final 2.5 minutes of the quarter.
They are
after the interception,
the ball back.
Major foul, illegal block, BC. Half the distance to goal, first down, Calgary.
Half the distance, they were bringing the ball back. Wow. Now they're moving it forward. So that's getting better for Trey Roberson. Grandson of CFL, a Canadian Football Hall of Famer. Larry Highbaugh, 3 picks on the season, almost took it the distance, and I guess I spoke too soon. The Stampeders could pull into a tie here before halftime. That was easy pickings for Trey Roberson.
Yeah, things are pretty well covered up there by the Calgary Stampeders, one that Travis Lulay tried to force into coverage. You know, between Trey Roberson and Nick Marshall in Saskatchewan, we may have CFL teams scouting U.S. college quarterbacks for the purpose of turning them into corners the way these guys have performed this year.
Mitchell, kill shot, touchdown! And it is Ambles in the back of the end zone. And the Calgary Stampeders, in a blink of an eye, are 2 points away from tying this up.
Completely changing the face of the game. 2 BC Lion turnovers, a muffed punt, followed immediately by an interception. And a first half which the BC Lions owned.
Except for the last 3 minutes.
2.5 minutes.
Game completely changed. They'll go for 2 again. Yeah, they have a very high percentage on 2-point converts. This to tie it up. Mitchell. So there is a blemish. 2 touchdowns by the Stamps in 51 seconds. And Markeith Ambles, his first CFL touchdown, couldn't have come at a better time after Trey Roberson with a huge assist on the interception, and again, more points off of turnovers.
Yeah, and begins right here. Ricky Collins has trouble fielding the punt. Winton McManus with the recovery. Mitchell steps up, finds Chris Matthews in the end zone for his first TD as a Calgary Stampeder. Trey Roberson with the pick. Penalty against the Lions. Once again, it's short field. Mitchell goes for the jugular. Finding Markeith Ambles for his first as a Stampeder. No Kamar Jordan, no Devaris Daniels, no Markin Michelle, no Reggie Beggleton. No problem for the Stampeders. Chris Matthews and Markeith Ambles become the next men up.
So what? We still could have Calgary on top by halftime. Jeremiah Johnson is going to be run out of bounds. 1:20 to go. Quick 2 and out here. Stamps might get the ball back again. Travis Lulay trying to settle the ship here.
Oh, this is it. You don't have to score, but you need to run some positive plays, pick up a first down or 2 here, at least to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, good throw. No, what you got to do?
Ambles, the former Houston Cougar.
Hey, let's go. Let's go.
He was brought into the fire with all the injuries, but the Stampeder MO has been next man up throughout their lineup. Next man up tonight have ended up in the end zone. Matthews and Ambles. Give it to to Sutton.
And I like this call with the way that Sutton has run the ball behind that Lions offensive line so far tonight. Positive plays, a guy who's a little bit of a tone setter, physical runner. You'll see it again here. Sutton with 59 yards already in this football game. Watch him as he lowers the shoulder. You know, the pile always seems to be moving in Sutton's direction, never getting knocked back.
Game that was pretty clean until the second quarter. We've got a lot of turnovers here now. A very sudden turnaround fortune. So Travis Lulay trying to make amends. First down. Might be able to get this in field goal position, but they're going to have to get it a long way down there. Ty Long's career long is 51, but 51 tonight is like 71.
Yeah, working in this direction. Lions will need much more than that.
49 to work with, though, for Lulay. Settle things down. And a first down run from Terrell Sutton. 3 yards, likely a passing down now. That only ate up a few ticks on the clock. Stampeder team tonight with a victory would lock up another home bye into the West Division Final. Guaranteed first place. Saskatchewan lost earlier today in Winnipeg. They were throttled 31-0. Lions trying to spoil that here. Quick hitter through the mitts of DeVere Posey. 19 to go, and Long will come out to kick, but it will be a punt. Lamar Morris is going back.
Yeah, a bit of a tough catch for Posey with that ball. His momentum's going in on the slant. The ball's kind of thrown to the back shoulder. Tough adjustment. Catchable ball, but a tough adjustment for the receiver.
Well, with a return here, Morris could put them in field goal position. The block taken down. 11 seconds and a penalty flag. 43-yard boot into the wind. Looks like the final play of this first half that was completely owned by the BC Lions up until the late stages. Bo Levi Mitchell. Like another week of turmoil in the first half offensively, and then suddenly 2 massive turnovers.
Yeah, you can't give the Calgary Stampeders those kinds of gifts and not expect to pay.
Third meeting of the season. Second meeting of the season. The third meeting will be in the final week between these two teams and could have some serious implications, especially for the Lions. Schedule, arguably the toughest of those teams fighting it out in the West.
Illegal block, Calgary, number 3. It's a 10-yard penalty. First down, Calgary.
I believe Levels was matched up on Wayne Moore, who's become one of the Lions' top special teamers. Moore was the first man down the field. Levels got him in the back.
Well, you hate to be a glutton, but if you're the Calgary Stampeders, 9 seconds to go, would you even be tempted to take a shot? Or do you just say, hey, thank you very much, BC Lions? You know, Bo Levi Mitchell's a gunslinger.
Yeah, I mean, this is not kneel-down formation. I'm not sure how tempted I'd be because of the field position for Calgary. A bad snap or anything that can go wrong.
They're going to try to set it up for Don Jackson. Streaking out Jackson. Runs runs out of bounds and runs out of time. The Calgary Stampeders in the final 2.5 minutes. Oh, Levi Mitchell still thinking
he's
there's a
lobbying
second left.
for one more second on the clock. Hoping for a little bit of help from the hometown timekeeper.
Had there been a penalty on that play, they might have been able to come out and kick a field goal, but that's the way it was working for Bo Levi Mitchell. Suddenly got some mojo in the final few seconds.
With the timer, please add 1 second.
They are putting 1 second back
to the game clock.
Let's take a look here. For a second, for a millisecond, it looked like there was nothing left, and maybe there is 1 second left.
Keep an eye on that clock up in the top left corner. Listen for the whistle. If what I thought was a whistle, I think they got it right.
So 1 tick remains, and now 37 yards after that, Jackson runs out of bounds. There still is another shot for the Calgary Stampeders, who have seen everything go right in the last 2.5, and so the BC Lions are going to drop everybody back. It looks like
the Lions have Brian Burnham as one of their deep guys. Perhaps in preparation for any kind of quick kick or whatever you might see, a guy who could be a jumper on a jump ball situation.
There's a jump ball deep now, and it was almost batted into the hands of Ambles. Surprised that didn't work out the way it's been working out for the Stampeders. Disaster for the BC Lions in the last 2.5 minutes. They still have the lead, but they absolutely dominated the first half, and the Stamps gallop right back. It's halftime as we send it back to Rod Smith and the guys in the studio.
In the Wonder Pack, here we go.
Two rivals going at it.
Possible playoff preview. Scores, lost it, picked out of the air and brought back the other way. Touchdown! Coro stands in and throws. The pass is intercepted. Picked off by Taylor Loeffler. The pass is caught deep to Garvin Adams. Adams, touchdown! Strebler has a man. Dressler, what a catch! Touchdown, Winnipeg! And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with authority win it 31-0.
The Eskimos look to snap a 3-game losing streak. Martese Jackson with a cutback there. Jackson will score. Trying to get back to 500 on the season. It's C.J. Gable looking for his second touchdown of the game. Away goes Brian Mitchell, his biggest catch of the game. Touchdown Edmonton. Bounce back performance by the Edmonton offense. The West gets even tighter.
Yes, as said by Chris Cuthbert, even tighter. Two teams that really needed wins for the playoff hopes got them. Especially impressive for the Edmonton Eskimos beating the Ottawa Redblacks, maybe Winnipeg, 31-0 over Saskatchewan. Jock, which impressed you more?
Well, it's hard to pick because that was two very impressive wins by two teams that needed it big time. But I guess if I had to choose, I'd have to go with Winnipeg only because it was just such sheer domination in all aspects of the game. They threw a no-doubter. I mean, it was like from 2 minutes into that game, they just took control, and Saskatchewan had absolutely no chance. Shut out for the first time since 2014. It's not easy to shut out a team in the CFL. It is a very difficult thing to do, and they did it, and they did it with great intensity in front of their home crowd.
Well, I think we found out even more that Saskatchewan can't win a shootout, especially when it comes to their offense needing to win a game. But for me, it definitely had to go with the City of Champions. Edmonton, all the pressures on that team to make it to the Grey Cup, at least get into the playoffs and be competitive. Because anytime you have a quarterback, the bar of Mike Riley, you know the bar is set awfully high. The world of expectations is for this team to be in the Grey Cup. That's why the Grey Cup's here. That's why this team is stocked up. They've had their injuries, but they went out, they got another guy putting up big yards besides Duke Williams, which is going to make this team even more lethal going into the playoffs.
Both impressive wins, and I'm going to go with the Bombers, though. You got to think about 31-0. And I don't care who you're playing against. You hold them to 0 points. That's pretty impressive. Matt Nichols played okay, but you think about that defense. defense. Adam Big Hill, he's going to be a free agent this offseason. They need to get that man signed right now because he doesn't make tackles. He makes plays. He creates plays for that defense, for that offense.
Force the turnover that started things off for a touchdown.
3 sacks. He's doing everything for that team. So they're in a good position right now where they're playing some impressive
I love
football.
how you're bragging about your bomb.
I talk bad about him when I have to.
He's allowed to this time around. You know what? Because Winnipeg won in exactly the way Winnipeg wants to win. Turnovers on defense. That's been their identity for a few years now. They got that. 2 quarterbacks contributed. So Nichols played well. Stravler comes in, throws a touchdown pass, and rips off a big run, then scores a touchdown on the plunge. So they're getting contributions from all angles. Great intensity, great defense. I mean, that's how they want to win football games.
Hey, Henry, we didn't ask you to criticize your Red Blacks today.
No, I know.
Hey, big one coming up against Hamilton, too.
Big Hill gets paid, he owes me a cut. I just made him some money.
Calgary Stampeders trying to wrap up first in the West again. They can do it with a win. They got a whole lot closer. Down now. Only 2 points. Second half still to come. How about those halftime numbers, Henry?
Well, let's get it going because I know we talked about BC's defense, how outstanding a job that they were doing, and you look at turnovers that BC's been able to cause. I mean, BC, come on now. Take good care of the football. If not, Calgary wouldn't have those 14 points off turnovers.
Tyrell Sutton with his new team. 2 touchdowns, 61 yards on the ground. Here he is now with Jermaine Franklin.
Tyrell Sutton, 2 touchdowns in that half. How did it feel for you physically to get back into the game the way you did?
It feels great. Being able to contribute for my team like this, it feels good.
How important will it be for the offense to stick with the running game in the second half?
It's going to be important for us to stay on the field. We had a great first quarter. Second quarter, we had a little lackluster, but we got to stay physical and stay on the field.
How does it feel for you to be a part of a big-time playoff push in the West Conference?
It feels great to be a part of this energy. The guys accepted me, I accept them. We know what we got to do. Stay together.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hey, Edmonton won earlier. Winnipeg won earlier. BC trying to answer back. Wally Buono honored earlier, but needs the win to keep pace in the West. Second half kickoff coming up.
Points on 2 late turnovers by the BC Lions propelled the Calgary Stampeders closer in that first half. 2018 as we get ready to start the third quarter here tonight in Calgary. Here's Dave Dickinson with Jermaine Franklin.
Well, Dave, it was an eventful and productive last 3 minutes of that first half. How do you guys build on that?
Well, we started getting some turnovers. We're still trying to find our way offensively, but guys are starting to step up. They're doing a good job. They're working hard. We just got to get our details.
How does the offense be more productive in the second half?
Well, I mean, basically win one-on-one matchups. It's not overly fancy. They're doing a good job taking away our run game. They know we've got receiver issues, so they think they can cover them. We got to be balanced. We got to be patient, but we also have to win our one-on-one matchups.
Thanks for this.
Thank you.
Winning turnover battles so huge for Dave Dickinson's team. Obviously in this game too. Otherwise, Bo Levi Mitchell and the Calgary Stampeders would have been down by a much larger deficit, and that locker room would have been in a considerably different mood, and that interview might have sounded a little bit different.
Yeah, no question. A very sudden turn in the final 3 minutes of that opening half, the Calgary Stampeders.
Another bad bounce and a botched return by the BC Lions, who again won the toss. They deferred, so they've elected to go with the wind. It's died down a little bit here in the third quarter.
Yeah, I think from a BC Lions point of view, it's all about getting momentum back, and I think a big part of that will have to do with the work of this guy, Tyrell Sutton. I've been looking over my weekly notes from Derek Taylor. He of the details. And one of the things that stood out to me is coming into this game, the BC Lions ranked 9th in the Canadian Football League in terms of yards after contact in the running game. Tyrell Sutton is a guy who can help them in that regard.
He's changed that tonight even. Again, 2 major scores in the first half. Lule pulls it back and then connects with Devere Posey on the Lions sideline for an immediate first down. 18-yard gain. Travis Lule, as Dwayne said, trying to see some momentum here early in the third quarter, having it sapped away late in the second.
Nice execution on the bootleg. That opportunity is created by the impact that Terrell Sutton has had running the ball between the tackles. You see the Calgary defense starting to pinch down to try and manage him. That's what allowed Lule to get around the edge on the boot.
And go back to Sutton, bounces back, and is able to get some positive yardage, maybe 2 on the play, so likely a throwing down here. And again, Terrell Sutton acquired in a trade from Montreal near the deadline. And Ed Hervey and the BC Lions smiling. Key now is for the Lions to try to secure a playoff spot, and nothing is a certainty down the last couple of weeks of the CFL season. There's Ed. Great receiver in the CFL and the GM in Edmonton too. And Sutton is dropped for a loss by Micah Johnson. Spied that perfectly.
And, you know, you heard Henry Burris in the pregame talk about Micah Johnson as one of those guys who should be considered as most outstanding defensive player in the league this year. Starts off on the pass rush, sniffs out the screen, makes a beeline for the running back. Crushing tackle for a loss to snuff out that Lions drive. Yeah, Micah Johnson's on my short list too, Hank.
An all-star season, Micah Johnson. 10 sacks coming in. It wasn't a sack, but a great tackle for a big loss. Forced the Lions to kick. And still on his feet. There's Romar Morris. Nice return. Punishing hit. Micah Johnson takes down Terrell Sutton. Stamps will have the ball. Down 2 in Calgary in a moment. 14 points in the last 2.5 minutes. We're down 16 and not looking good. And the game turned because of turnovers. Don Jackson, Micah Awe got to him, and then Awe has been nicked up, it looks like. Still down, a loss of 2 on the play, and the Lions can ill afford to lose Awe. Don Jackson also hurt, so both training staffs have to come out on the field here on that collision. Might have been knee on knee.
Yeah, more commonly seen in hockey games, but right there as Jackson goes to make the cut, Awe had planted. Both guys go down.
Players, Jackson and Awe, on the field. We'll step aside and come back to McMahon Stadium in Calgary with the Lions ahead 2. Getting worked on that left knee. Trainer's table. Looks like it's a better scenario for Don Jackson. We'll try to get updates from Jermaine on the sideline tonight on this I was going to say cool. It's cold. Ice cold night in Calgary. Temperature plummeting. Wind dying down though, so we'll see. We've had 31 of the 38 points scored tonight with the wind. Stamps against it here in the 3rd quarter. Mitchell, deep shot for Rogers, jump ball, and coming back to the ball, TJ Lee. His 12th knockdown of the season.
Rod, just as you talked about the majority of points having been scored with the wind, you wonder what role the wind played in this ball being underthrown. As Rogers is in behind TJ Lee on the play, but has to slow up and wait for the ball.
And Dave Dickinson came running down the sideline and threw a challenge flag, and based on what we saw with Trey Roberson earlier, kind of hurling himself into the receiver, I have a feeling that this call on the field, which is incomplete, could be overturned. Dave Dickinson throwing
Calgary
his yellow
flag. Calgary is challenging that there was defensive pass interference on that receiver, number 15. We'll review the play.
Very similar play to that Roberson play that was called interference.
Yeah, this one I think more blatant. With the defender Lee running right into Rogers. Whereas Roberson, it was more of a case of hand fighting. here. And a full body contact.
It was a knockdown, but not a ball knockdown. That was a Rogers knockdown. Quite a 48 hours for Eric Rogers. Heading south to California. Witnessed the birth of his second child. And daughter Kyla born. Able to come back tonight.
The Stampeders needed him.
Dave Dickinson, who's a family man,
after review,
still loves to have him back.
We have defensive pass interference, BC number 6. Ball will be placed at the 33-yard line. First down, Calgary.
Touche. Both of those challenges working out tonight. Successful, both Dickinson and Buono. 33 yards that worked out on the interference call. Takes the ball down near the 33-yard line. Stamps will go to work and a chance to acquire their first lead of this game. Lions load up the box. Levi Mitchell fires. TJ Lee, the tackle on Ambles, who already has a touchdown tonight. It'll set up second down. Fourth catch for Markeith Ambles.
Yeah, and a good sign for the Calgary Stampeders to see Markeith Ambles with 4 catches in this ball game, including his first touchdown, getting a little bit more involved. Talked a little bit about Ambles last week as a guy who was one of the most heavily recruited receivers in the country in the class of 2010, went to USC out of high school.
Second and 5. Mitchell has to step up, lets it go, and it should have been picked off. That was Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday to Anthony Orange, a gift, and he couldn't hang on. So the field goal unit will come out, and the Stamps could take their first lead of the game, but this should have been picked.
Yeah, Anthony Orange with 5 interceptions on the season, hasn't let many slip through his fingers. This would have been a big one for his BC Lions. Got himself into perfect position as he reacted to the throw. Just couldn't squeeze it.
Can't believe it. Rennie Paredes just outside the 35-yard line for the lead. The Calgary Stampeders down 16 at one point. Rallied back and now have the lead by 1. Time now for our Shaw connection of the game. Might be a little early to hand this out, but this would be tough to beat, partner.
Well-placed ball from Travis Lulay. Great adjustment by Brian Burnham. Simply taking it off the back or off the shoulder of the safety, Tunde Adeleke.
With the one wing. So the Lions are going to need some more from Burnham and their offense. It's been stymied now by this Calgary D. Corey Watson. Big week last week against the Argos.
Watson, the middle man. That 3-receiver set into the boundary. Working that deep out. It's the newcomer Amos in coverage. Just threatening deep to drive the defender off and create some separation before making that break. Nice timing on the throw from Lulay.
Couple of hiccups for Travis Lulay. His team late in the second. He has to call his own number. Kind of read it wrong. Micah Johnson with the salute. First Calgary sack of the ball game.
Micah Johnson from his D tackle spot has been such a monster all year. Beats the cut block from David Foucault. Get into the backfield after Travis Lulay.
Second down and 12. Micah Johnson's 11th sack of the season. The sideline, good move by DeVere Posey, trying to cut back and lunge forward. Trey Roberson helping out on the play. Keep the Lions short of the first down. 10 yards. It looks like it's going to be 3rd and 2.
Posey lined up on the outside. He's got a little bit of room. Corners dropping deep.
Ty Long is coming out. And this is with the wind, and Long is going to attempt a field goal here. This is going to come from the 52. Career long is 51, so since he came to the CFL, this would be his longest. He has the wind behind him. This kick is up, and it is good. Ty Long likes it. The Lions like it. They relinquish the lead for only a few seconds. They get it right back. Ty Long, his longest. 23-21 BC. Stamps offense back on the field. Eric Rogers is on the sideline. Was good enough to get here tonight for the Calgary Stampeders. Here's Jermaine Franklin.
Yeah, absolutely, Rod. You know, Dave Dickinson actually had one of his big principles tested this week. He's always preached to his team, family comes first no matter what. It's already been well documented how decimated the receiving corps has been with injuries. So imagine what went through Dave Dickinson's mind when Eric Rogers reminded him that he was expecting his second child and he had to go to California this week, a short week. Eric Rogers is the only healthy first-string receiver that they have, and he had to go. Dickinson considers him the glue of the receiving corps, so that was very hard. Obviously, the decision was easy to make. Eric Rogers had to go, but the circumstance was very difficult.
But also very special. Nothing like fatherhood, family man, Papa Rogers. Congratulations to him. Here he comes back in, and Eric Rogers is a guy who also has been in and out of the lineup for the Stamps this year.
Well, he certainly has. Again, this is just his second game back after a long stint on the injured list. So when you start to consider how few games the Stamps starting receivers have actually played together this season, it's remarkable the success they've had given how challenged they've been to get them all on at the same time.
Rogers works hard for his money. 5 touchdowns in 5 weeks to begin the season. Bo guns over the top and Ambles goes up high and brings it down on top of Otha Foster.
Markeith Ambles, another big target. Big target, capable of work in the middle of that field. Foster right in that hip pocket in coverage, but Ambles climbs the ladder to go get that one.
Oh, Levi Mitchell setting a record for receivers used this year. Here comes the heat, and he threw it away. Trying to set up a screen. Blitz was on, sets up second down.
Mentioned earlier, Davon Coleman with 2 interceptions last week. Only 3 times in history has a defensive lineman had 2 picks in a game. We got to see the other time earlier this year. Jagarrett Davis right here.
There was Brent Johnson. 12 years ago. Hall of Famer this year. Ball has time. Crossing pattern. Flag down. Well, it's close to Thanksgiving, kind of the wishbone there. Ambles almost had his leg pulled off. He got 6 yards with 2 legs and another 3 yards almost 5 yards with one leg. Let's see what the call is here, though.
Offensive pass interference, Calgary number 32. 10-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
Morris giving a little more room for Ambles and company.
Yeah, they've got a crossing route happening. Ambles is coming from the top of your screen, but you see Romar Morris right here. He's the other crosser. Watch what he does to try and create a little extra space for Ambles. Dips the shoulder on TJ Lee.
Got him by a foot. Would have had his sneaker if not for the spatting. That was a NBA-like pick that was set. 2nd and 20. Lions rush 3. Bo goes deep here. Up for grabs, and it's picked. And this one is going to be caught by Nate Hamlin. That Anthony Thompson who has it. Thompson has the pick. 2nd interception of the season for Anthony Thompson.
A big turnover created here, and watch Anthony Thompson, how far he ranges from that center field position he's playing, all the way in the middle of the field. Remember, 65-yard wide field. He's got to get all the way out to that sideline to come and help over the top.
So another turnover in this game. 2nd and long. Almost like a punt, really, for the Stampeders on that deep shot. Thompson has the pick. Lule throws it into the Stamps bench. Caught by Bo Levi Mitchell. Bo Levi Mitchell, who used to
As soon as you got there, like, you stood up, started to sit down.
a lot of conversations with Travis Lule when he broke into the league.
He was way up.
Soaked it up. This is the first time they ever caught a ball from Travis Lule. Second down and 10. Just over 5 to go, 3rd quarter. There goes Sutton with one of his best runs again. The play call for the Lions as the Stamps were expecting pass on a 13-yard scoot by number 13.
Well, watch the way that the Calgary Stampeders defensive line gets completely sucked in on this play. They're all going full speed up the field, late to react. Well-timed draw. That's exactly what you want. The idea is in a passing situation that Micah Johnson and the rest are going to have their ears pinned back, try and get some pressure.
75 yards for Sutton so far tonight, Dwayne. And the backfield. That is David Mackey getting a touch here, going nowhere.
There you see Devon Claybrooks, defensive coordinator for the Stampeders. Done a terrific job with this group over the last few seasons.
Pink in his hat. You see a lot of the players wearing the pink, the spat. Pink ribbon night here in Calgary. It's Cancer Awareness Month. As close to everyone's heart. Again, that draw. Terrell Sutton picks up 8 on the play. Travis Lule looking at that sideline. It's going to be 3rd and about 4.
Sutton and that offensive line continue to do a job. You know, I mean, Calgary is a team that is most frequently leading throughout the course of the ball game. Doesn't necessarily have teams running on them a lot. It'll be interesting to see if there's a fatigue factor for them, the way that this BC offense has been physical in the way they've played tonight.
Remember, the Stamps will have the wind in the fourth. Long has the wind here. Will go to his left to try to angle this. Good kick. Omar Morris scampers out near the 27-yard line in this 23-21 game. Travis Lule and the BC Lions. Lule back as the starter, coming back from his shoulder injury. Next week, home to the Eskimos, then in Saskatchewan, and then back here at home against Calgary to end the season.
The ball just came up way late.
What a challenge they have from the schedule maker. Trying to get a playoff spot. Year of another crossover. Jackson close to a first down, and he'll get it, it looks like. And the MASH department is growing, it seems. Let's go down to Jermaine Franklin for an injury update.
Thanks, Rod. Micah Alway is doubtful to return with the knee injury. Now, they did test his stability, and he seemed to be in serious discomfort. They even tried to put a brace on him, and he still was in discomfort. But officially, he is doubtful with a knee injury.
Lions fortunate to have Jordan Herdman, a guy who started a number of games at middle linebacker this season. He was holding down that spot in the absence of Solomon Elimimian before Awe rejoined the team.
Eric Rogers on that peg. It was not a first down, so now it is. 2 minutes to go here in the third. On TJ Lee. That's a great one-on-one matchup.
It sure is. TJ Lee, a terrific defender.
There's Sullivan. We had a chance to chat with him. He said he's getting close. I miss him, and not only is he a tremendous player, but he's a great teammate, and I think I want to be coached someday. Don't be surprised to see him on a sideline somewhere.
Yeah, heart and soul kind of guy. We had a good laugh before the game. In fact, he's so fierce on the field, but one of the true gentlemen when he steps outside of the white lines.
Classy. Chris Matthews. Another catch for him in his Calgary Stampeder debut. And back in 2012, broke in with the Bombers, won the Rookie of the Year. Got hurt in 2013. Out of football for a bit, ended up in the National Football League with the Seattle Seahawks. Now back north of the border once more. That was a 12-yard pickup. There's a flag on the play, though. This could be taken off the board.
Procedure, no end. Calgary, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Well, Chris Matthews is a guy who fits the Stampeder mold physically. Certainly a team that generally opts for some height, some length in that receiving core.
They have a cloning department here, don't they? They have a lot of those same guys.
It certainly seems that way. You know, all their running backs this year now seem to be guys who are of the same mold. Receivers fit the same mold.
Lions loaded up on 1st and 15. Last minute, third quarter. Bo. Again over the top, looking for Rogers. Again, Chris Matthews. Who would have ever thought, though, that he would have had such an impact in the Super Bowl? Remember the NFC game as well, and that onside kick. And had they won this game, which in many people's minds they should have, Chris Matthews likely would have been the MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, if not for a last-second pick.
That is shining moment. Now brings that great skill set back north. Canadian Football League. 2nd and 15. Bo's in trouble. Down he goes.
It looked like they brought him down around
quite
the
high.
head, but
that looked really high by Ivan McLennan. Now there is no flag. Bo Levi Mitchell pointing to the scoreboard. Dave Foxcroft is not looking up there. And again, there are no challenges left. That was definitely high. That is and should be a penalty.
Yeah, no question about it.
We've seen lesser than that called roughing the passer. Final play barring penalty of the third quarter. BC Lions are going to have a rare lead. Flag on the play. And Travis Lulay and the Lions milk this lead. 4-2 after 3 quarters with the lead. Again against the Calgary Stampeders. Just waiting on the call here. Play cannot end a quarter on a penalty.
During the return, illegal block, BC number 44. 10-yard penalty, first down.
These teams, of course, met back in August. Calgary won 27-18. Generally, through the years, you look at it, Stamps have won 5 in a row. 9 of their last 10. Here's the penalty.
Yeah, keep an eye on the right side of your screen. Rookie out of Wilfrid Laurier, Isaiah Guzlak-Nessam.
One more play in the third quarter, one more with the win. Jeff Reinbold, the special teams coordinator. I say, though, that even though the Stamps have dominated the win column, games have not been one-sided by any stretch. This one, the same tonight. Lions trying to keep pace in the West. Has been good tonight, but this time is going down. Jagarrett Davis, the tackle on Terrell Sutton. Lions have the lead. Stamps will have the win. With the win, trying to get the win and lock up first in the West. Fourth quarter straight ahead. A rarity, the Calgary Stampeders trailing after 3 quarters, the Lions by 2. Look at the yards in offense by the Stamps in the third, just 15. They're going to have to generate more, but then again, they've been scoring off of turnovers, and we'll see how these teams protect the ball as we head to the fourth. And Travis Lulay, it's kind of been a roller coaster ride for the quarterback carousel in BC with the platoon, you might think, of Jonathan Jennings and Travis Lulay.
Yeah, but they're two guys who obviously have gotten along very well from day one. Travis Lulay took on the role of mentor to Jonathan Jennings when Jennings came into the league as a rookie, and particularly when Jennings, due to injuries, was forced into that starting lineup. So very cooperative effort between those two guys. You know, and obviously the hope for the BC Lions is that out of the adversity of losing your starting quarterback is that you have 2 guys ready to play at this time of year should anything go wrong.
Travis Lulay, a proven winner as well. Grey Cup champion back in 2011. Winning record against the Stampeders through the years. Lulay trying to connect on the far side on 2nd and 9. There was a bit of controversy as well generated from comments by General Manager Ed Hervey, who talked about Jonathan Jennings, and there were some thoughts that was accusing Jennings of not being the complete team player. Had diffused those earlier tonight, those comments. Oh, big hit. Said he just wants everybody to be accountable.
Yeah,
I have a lot of trust in Ed. I have a lot of confidence in what he does, and You know, and like anything, sometimes things are said in a different context, but, you know, when they're presented differently too. So, you know, I've told the players, guys, you know, there's going to always be things that you don't like, and what you have to do is, you know, is put that aside and focus on what you get paid to do.
There was an accusation that it was questioning Jennings' work ethic. As Ed Hervey says too, he sees what he sees. Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, just to finish that thought, in the context in which the comment was made, it was not intended to be a shot.
No.
At Jonathan Jennings. Ed Hervey and Jonathan Jennings, they're pulling in the same direction. They want the same thing, which is for Jonathan Jennings to be the best he can possibly be and to make the biggest possible contribution to the BC Lions. And I think for anybody who knows Ed Hervey, who actually knows Ed Hervey, if Ed had something negative to say about someone,
he will say it.
He would say it to their face before he would go and say it to anybody else.
Low snap, Bo throws, bobbled. Offenses are stalling right now. Both defenses picking it up. 6th, 2 and out for the Calgary Stampeders. Say that very often. A ball game. Very adept at forcing 2 and outs. 1 man back this time for Maver. The Breeze could get a good boot here. Towering kick. There's a penalty flag. It was just after Maver kicked that ball, and it might be contacting the kicker. No, they're saying it's against the Stampeders. Flag came just as the ball was launched.
While the ball was in flight, holding Calgary number 36. 10-yard penalty, first down, BC.
BC gets the benefit of the penalty. Hard-hitting, pad-popping game. Ask Romar Morris. Dyshon Davis loses his lid, comes up with a huge hit. So Rob Maver is going to reboot here. Anthony Parker backs had a good return already earlier. Picks his way to the 30. Runs into a posse of Stamps. Another flag down. Trying to sort out this penalty on a return. Game's become a little scrappy now.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Calgary number 6. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That was Rob Maver. Hit from behind here maybe.
Can you call unnecessary roughness on a kicker? Is that a thing?
Might have been an accident. Rob was right in the middle of it. Gets called, and a better starting point for the BC Lions. Maver, the former Guelph Griffin, CFL All-Star. One of the preeminent punters through the years. The tandem that has been with Rennie Paredes. Lule looks one way and then hands it off to Sutton. A great cut. Should have been stopped at the line of scrimmage, but positive yardage again for Terrell Sutton.
Yeah, terrific cut by Sutton to make the first man miss. Turn that into a positive play for the BC Lions.
Sparkling debut so far, Dwayne.
Yeah, we can certainly label that a success thus far for Sutton and the Lions. Comes as advertised.
31-year-old, Akron, Ohio, played his college ball at Northwestern. Key second down again. We've seen a lot of 2 and outs. Lule, far side, first down. Devere Posey on the Calgary side of the field.
Well, one of the other things that was talked about with Terrell Sutton, if you keep an eye on him in the backfield to the right of Travis Lulay, is blocking. This is a guy who has always been terrific in pass protection. Does a great job there, stepping up into the gap to pick up the blitz. Close to the line of scrimmage, allowing Lulay time to throw that football.
Knocking heads with Jameer Thurman. Terrell said yesterday, just wants to hit somebody. And now Lulay on the bootleg. Fooled everybody.
And that's Travis Lulay channeling 2011.
Doesn't do a whole lot of this like he used to.
Picks his spots since the injuries. But a guy who, to me, this was always a great part of Travis Lulay's game, is his ability to threaten the edges of a defense.
A brace on his leg. Bum shoulder. Still going, still throwing. 1st and 10. Inside the Calgary 40. Pounding the ground again with Tyrell Sutton. Another 7 first down yardage on the ground. Significant tonight. Tyrell Sutton in his Lion debut has 95 yards so far.
And 95 hard-earned yards.
Yeah.
Very, very physical runner.
We're going to go short yardage here. Lulay give way to Cody Fajardo. 2nd and 2. Sutton in the backfield. Sutton is going to be stopped way short. They have lost a half yard here even. To be a predictable play call as they came to the line of scrimmage. So Wally looks at this. Will he go for it on 3rd down? Or will he take the points with Ty Long? This is against the wind, remember.
Yeah, it's going to be Ty Long and the field goal team, as the offensive line just didn't get much push at the point of attack.
Sutton just runs into that mosh pit.
And nowhere to go.
So Ty Long, who has already made a 52-yarder tonight. That was with the win. This one might feel a little bit longer than 39. Seems to have died down now here in the 4th. For a 5-point BC lead. And successful again is Ty Long tonight. Quiets the crowd here at McMahon Stadium. Sutton is stuffed. But the Lions get 3. The Hawaiian Islands surfing. Jeff Reinbold. Bo Levi Mitchell. Loads of time in the backfield, and that should have been caught. First hiccup of the night from Chris Matthews, who had a touchdown earlier in his Stampeder debut. Couldn't haul that in.
Open underneath is kind of the check down man. You saw got past the hands into the pads, and it's so hard to control that rebound off the hard pads. Falls to the turf incomplete.
Bo Levi Mitchell just 4 of 11 in the second half. 15 yards of offense so far, and that will help out right at the 1st down marker. A late flag though came out as Rogers snared that. Wally Buono signaling that that's against the guys in red.
Illegal interference, blocking downfield on a forward pass. Calgary, number 81. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
So back-to-back negative plays for number 81.
Keep an eye on Matthews on the outside. His explanation would be that he wasn't blocking. He was actually trying to get separation to get open. Either way, it was...
It's like a superhero push.
Hard not to call.
Stamps 7 for 18 tonight on second down. And 20 from the 25. Down 5 points here tonight. Bo. Deep toss near sideline. Oh! It's caught! Eric Rogers. Oh, wow.
Now, you remember earlier we saw that Brian Burnham catch, and you said to me, you're not going to see one better than that tonight. And I said, we'll see.
We'll see.
Acrobatic effort here from Rogers. Gets the foot down.
Spectacular.
Good catch, good call.
Call by you, partner. I think we'd see somebody out-Burnham, Brian Burnham. Eric Rogers just did, maybe. Look at this. Layback. Beauty. Did he
Terrific
have
effort.
his
Does he
feet
have it
down?
secure? Does he have the ball secured? Because there was a little bit of a bobble in there. Well, they've run the next play, so yeah, whether he caught it or not, yeah, he caught it.
And it's impossible to challenge. Second and short. There's 7 to go. Wally Bono's final regular season game. The place he used to call home for so many years. On his way to becoming the winningest coach in the history of this league. Did not look good for Wally and the Lions early in the season, but they have started to roll here, and a great chance they can get a couple of wins, get it to the playoffs.
Well, there you see a resume of his work in Calgary, where he started his career in 1990 to 2002. Really is the guy who rebuilt this team, and you talk about the brand that is the Calgary Stampeders today. Begins with Wally Bono.
Lamar Morris skedaddles on that side. Down to 6 minutes. It has been quite the journey as Wally winds it down into this farewell tour that he is on, and who knows how it will end in this season for him. What do you remember best about playing for a guy like Wally Bono?
Well, I mean, Wally was a guy who he was going to tell it like it is, and I mean, there's nothing really fancy about Wally. We joke now about the fact that he doesn't wear the headset, but a guy who just, quite frankly, knows how to win, knows how to run a good organization, knows how to treat the people working with him and for him.
Well, if you like to work, you can work for Wally Bono and you can have success. Here's Dave Dickinson, another Hall of Famer, on Wally.
He's got an intimidating personality. He commands respect. Once you get to know him, he actually has a really big heart and wants the best for everybody, and obviously is very competitive. So there's a lot of love for Wally, even though we'll be battling each other. We just try to coach our teams the best we can, and we're going to miss him. The league is going to miss him, but I'm sure he'll be fairly close by, and certainly a guy that I think if I needed something, I could always call.
8th play, and down goes Bo. Sean Lemon. Lemon drop. For Lemon, his 9th sack as a BC Lion this season.
Comes Sean Lemon from the stand-up position. Working one-on-one with Randy Richards. Quick outside move.
See Bose look up at Richards. How did that happen? Here they come again. Bo. And up high. Matthews makes amends. Will be short of the first down. But another terrific catch here.
Yeah, he seemed to kind of pop into the picture out of nowhere. Big Chris Matthews across the middle. Running back Jackson does a nice job to get Bo Lacombo down on the ground. As the linebacker was blitzing up the middle.
So it's going to be 3rd and a long yard. This is almost a yard and a half, 2 yards. Remember the Stamps were stopped earlier on a 3rd down play in this game. Getting close to the 3-minute warning. They're going for it again here on 3rd and 2. Mitchell's going to throw. He does, and it's incomplete. And there's a flag down at the 25-yard line. Bo Mitchell was hammered as he threw the football, but that flag could be illegal contact.
And this is why you pressure.
Offensive pass interference. Calgary, number 1. That penalty will be declined.
It is contact.
It'll
It's
be a change of possession on downs
against the Stamps.
1st down, BC.
For the 2nd time tonight, turn the ball over on 3rd down, and that could be costly. Down 5. That field goal.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but BC has had a little bit of success in this ball game that you're not sure you're going to get the ball back, even though, you know, the odds usually would say with 3 minutes you think you will, especially with your defense. But
well, had they made that field goal pretty much automatic for Paredes, then they're field goal away possibly from winning the game. Well, they need a touchdown. They need the ball back. It's the 3-minute warning here in the 4th quarter tonight in Calgary.
For a championship ride.
So the chess match has reached a peak here. 2nd down, one of the biggest plays of the game. Under 3 to go.
Is that John Cornish waving the flag?
It is.
Yeah.
The greatest running backs in CFL history. Now a great cheerleader here. 2nd and 6. Stamps have the crowd screaming for a hold here. Now the heat comes. Lule finds his man right at the 1st down marker. It depends on the spot. Looks like it's a favorable one on that far side. And Ricky Collins, who had a muffed punt early in the ball game that led to points, comes up with a big catch. Now they're looking at this, surveying it. Originally the spot was pretty close to that 1st down marker. Big play by Lule.
Yeah, moving away from pressure. The Stampeders had a corner blitz on that resulted in them actually sending the weak side linebacker Jameer Thurman all the way out to cover the wide receiver, Devere Posey. Lule scrambles away from that blitz to buy time and find the receiver.
Jarius Jackson. They're going to be, it looks like, a little short based on that chain, and it is. So now, 3rd down. 31, and that gamble that went astray for Dave Dickinson still could work out if his team can find a way to stop here. But there have been a lot of big plays in this 4th quarter.
There certainly have.
3rd down gambles that are reeking of importance. BC team that has been stopped of times on 3rd down this season.
With a game timer, please set the clock to 2:34. 2 minutes and 34 seconds.
5 times they've been stopped, 3rd and short.
Well, keep an eye on the strength of this Calgary Stampeder defense up the middle. Micah Johnson at tackle. And that man, Alex Singleton.
Just stuffed Terrell Sutton. Earlier series. So this could be huge here. Cody Fajardo using the clock. Bring it down to 5 seconds. 3rd and about a half yard. And oh boy, he is stopped up, but it looks like he got the 1st down.
Yeah, didn't need much. He should have it.
Needed less than a yard. Took a shot right here.
We're getting an extra push there from Terrell Sutton. Watch Sutton Going to help his quarterback keep moving forward. But as you see the marker in the background, though, Jardo should have the first down.
Timeout, Calgary.
Much emotion from Devon watching on that sideline. Wally Buono trying to get the win. Trying to move his record to 8-7 with the BC Lions. Tighten up that West, which has tightened up even more based on the results earlier today. Winnipeg and Edmonton both winning. Like an auto race here. Down to the final laps in the CFL West. Lule returns. 2:10 to go. Clock management, field position paramount here. Stamps trying to get the ball back. Fooling everybody again. Travis Lule with the gain. Huge second down coming up. Second down and 6.
And every time that the Lions successfully run that bootleg with Lule, an assist goes to Terrell Sutton and the work he's done running the football.
Stamps need a stop. Play clock comes to 0. They swing it out. Play by Corey Watson. He's going to be short of a first down. Clock was rolling, but that could have been stopped about 4 yards shorter than that.
Yeah, Emmanuel Davis sniffed this one out. He's coming in like a torpedo.
That was a high jump.
Great effort by Corey Watson.
So the Stamps will get the ball back. 1:37 to go. Plenty of time for Bo Levi Mitchell. But they have to score a touchdown. Ty Long. Wind has died down considerably since the early going. Lamar Morris is back at his 25. Clock ticks down to 1:18. Patrick Levels came close to blocking that. High kick. Good angle. Starting point is just past the 30. So Bo Levi Mitchell, it is your turn. There was a late flag that came up near the 50. This could affect the starting point.
Well, Patrick Levels got close. Ty Long gets it away.
Here's the call.
At the end of the play, major foul, unnecessary roughness, Calgary, number 59. 15-yard penalty.
That is
first down,
enormously
Calgary.
costly right now for a big play team that hasn't had as many big plays as usual tonight. They need a couple more with that 15-yard deficit on this drive. 1:08 to go. 1st and 10 from the 17. Bo Levi Mitchell, 16 career fourth quarter drives. And that was almost picked. And Bo Levi Mitchell hasn't had to get as many wins as others in fourth quarters because generally the Calgary Stampeders own a lot of leads in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, not relying on fourth quarter comebacks to get their victories. As we talked about earlier, this year 10-0 when leading after 3 quarters. This is unfamiliar territory for the Stamps.
And there might be some questions about not going after that field goal this week if they can't find a way to get into the end zone here. Mitchell on second down. And it's going to come down to 3rd down. A minute to go. They likely won't get the ball back, so this is ball game here.
Well, Bo Lacumbo, the weak side linebacker, drops in coverage. He's the guy that ends up across the middle with Eric Rogers. And you see that tug with the right hand to the left shoulder of Eric Rogers as the ball was coming in. May have gotten away with one there.
BC Lions on the verge of victory. They can hold off the Stampeders from getting a first down here. Stamps need a first down, and they're not getting it. No flags, no catch. No win for the Calgary Stampeders. The BC Lions look like, barring a disaster here, that they're going to escape from Calgary with their 8th win of the season and end a 5-game losing skid against the Stamps.
Well, their 8th win of the season, and I would contend their biggest win of the season to date.
1 for the money, 2 for the show. Who's going to finish 3rd? Who's going to finish in 4th place, which would be that crossover team? And who's going to be the team looking out? Wally Buono comes back to Calgary. His final regular season game, and who knows, he might be back in Calgary again in the postseason. The Lions with a statement here tonight. Terrell Sutton goes over 100 yards. We'll give the Lions the victory. The Edmonton Eskimos, same amount of points, but again, Lions with a game in hand, and it is going to be a battle royale down to the finish line.
Pressure on the Eskimos, pressure on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as well. Again, Lions just a game behind them with a game in hand.
Just a rarity here tonight. Calgary Stampeders, again, built-in excuse, not a lot of healthy bodies. But a team that's used to winning, and here is their first loss on home field this season. Fought back in the second quarter thanks to turnovers. Do you think Dave Dickinson's going to regret the decision not to go to the field goal, because then you get the ball back? You don't have to necessarily go for the big play to try to get to the end zone.
Yeah, and people obviously are going to question that. You know, I mean, my personal feeling on it, well, I probably would have kicked the field goal. I'm going to look at Dave Dickinson's winning percentage as a head coach, and it doesn't make him beyond reproach, but it means he kind of knows what he's doing, so shouldn't really be second guessed.
BC Lions, 3rd and 4. Going to milk the clock, and Travis Lule is probably just going to chuck this into the end zone and into the stands. Clock comes down to zeros. The gun will sound, and the BC Lions are still very much in this heavyweight fight in the West. Wally Buono, another win for the CFL's winningest coach. 281st now, and he gets his win back in a stadium that he used to win a lot, here at McMahon Stadium. Terrell Sutton, what an impact for him in his first game as a BC Lion.
Yeah, and it goes beyond the numbers. When you talk about Terrell Sutton, yeah, 22 carries, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's an understatement in terms of what his impact was on this football game. I felt that he set the tone physically for the BC Lions in this game. He did something that teams don't often do, which is wear down the Calgary Stampeders. Defensively, you watched every time he ran the football, he was moving the pile. He was the hammer, not the nail. And that's why Terrell Sutton is our Nissan Titan player of the game.
Brought to you by Nissan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Travis Lule gets the win. The BC Lions, most importantly for them, get the win, and they're going to need more Terrell Sutton down the stretch. What a finish we're going to have in the West down the stretch. Lions have Edmonton next week. Calgary has Saskatchewan. The Lions deny the Stamps first place in the West for now. They win it tonight, 26-21. Good night from Calgary. Sports Center coming up right now.